also looks different. For 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has helped adults succeed. You're not waiting to win. You're ready to succeed again at umgc.edu.
Johnny Depp and Amber Heard locked in a legal battle in Fairfax County, Virginia, each accusing the other of defamation that has ruined their respective acting careers. Now, a jury must figure out what was really happening during their relationship. Was Johnny abusing Amber? Was Amber abusing Johnny? Or were they abusing each other? The answer may come down to the credibility of Amber Heard, who was back on the stand today facing cross-examination and being questioned about the alleged sexual assault in Australia.
When he puts you on the counter, does he have the bottle in his hand, yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
Meanwhile, the jury also got some insight into the relationship by listening to recordings of Johnny and Amber.
And let's not do this anymore, because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really sick of this argument.
Stop, I'm sorry.
Okay, so let me go, and you go, and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Let me leave.
Stop rushing me! Stop pushing me in the corner and then poking me with a stick and then saying, why aren't you saying the words you want me to say?
This hour, we are live in Fairfax County, Virginia, with all the big moments as we take you inside the details revealed in court today in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. I'm Vinnie Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Whew, I'm exhausted, and the show has just started. That was from what happened today. Just watching what was happening inside the courtroom, taking my notes, trying to figure this all out. Unbelievable. As you know, I'm a former prosecutor, and that's kind of the way I see the world. And thinking about this case as a prosecutor, if it was my job to make a determination and to prosecute the case against Johnny Depp for abuse, for sexual assault, I'll be honest with you, I myself would have a lot of reasonable doubts. And that's the standard in a criminal case, right? As a prosecutor, I'd have to prove the case beyond any and all reasonable doubt. Do I believe that I could prove the allegations by Amber Heard beyond a reasonable doubt? No way. No way, not based upon what we have seen take place during the course of this trial. Whether it's the testimony of Amber Heard, the testimony of Johnny Depp, the testimony of other witnesses, the inconsistencies, the recordings, everything. I would have reasonable doubts, which me as an ethical prosecutor would not bring the case. I wouldn't bring the case. I just don't think there is enough. And there's enough doubt in my mind that I wouldn't bring it. Because prosecutors are not supposed to bring cases they don't believe they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, this is not a criminal case. This is civil litigation, although it might be the most uncivil civil litigation we've ever seen here on Court TV, because all of the allegations back and forth are criminal in nature. The allegations are, whether it's Johnny getting hit by Amber or Amber getting sexually assaulted by Johnny, all of that is criminal behavior. Make no mistake about it. But it's a civil litigation. So nobody has to prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt. Johnny Depp doesn't have to prove defamation beyond a reasonable doubt. Amber Heard doesn't have to prove defamation beyond a reasonable doubt. But more importantly, Amber Heard doesn't have to prove her case beyond a reasonable doubt. And this is significant. This is important, okay? Because you watch this trial, and if you thought it was a criminal trial, Johnny Depp is on. No, that's not what's happening. And Amber Heard does not have to prove that Johnny Depp did this stuff beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a much different standard. Beyond a reasonable doubt is the highest standard that our system of justice has. It's much, much, much lower. It's just more than 50%, a preponderance of the evidence. And that's how this case is going to go when it's time for the jury to figure it out. You know, is she lying or is she not lying? And it's just that much that the jurors have to be convinced. Anything over 50% wins this case for either side. That's why I said off the top, if I was a prosecutor, wouldn't bring it. But that's not the standard for this one, folks. So in this case, there are some allegations, outrageous allegations. And when I say outrageous, I mean, if it's true, this is outrageous behavior. And really, it all goes back to Australia. To me, that is the most violent accusation in all of this, in what happened down there to Amber Heard and what happened to Johnny Depp. You know, you've got the alleged sexual assault with the bottle. You've got Johnny Depp's finger being severed. And what this jury has to figure out is, okay, to figure out who's telling the truth, you know, which came first? I think that's significant. And you know, it's been hazy in my head. And I was like, is it just me? I'm not taking good notes as I listen to the testimony? Am I not understanding exactly what the allegation is about what happened in Australia over the course of 3 days? Like, who was where? When did this happen? When did this next thing happen? But it wasn't me. It was not me who couldn't figure it out because I wasn't paying attention to the testimony, or it just wasn't, you know, making sense to me. It's because the testimony itself is very unclear. And this is significant because of the violent nature of these accusations. It's important to say, is it plausible that this could have happened? And a lot of that may have to do with the order in which these events took place, that Johnny Depp loses his finger, that Johnny Depp allegedly sexually assaults Amber Heard with a bottle. Which came first? Big issue on cross-examination today. Take a listen.
You testified in this courtroom that after Mr. Depp smashed the phone, he held you down on the countertop by the neck. Do you remember that?
I'm not quite sure of the exact sequence of things, but yes, both of those things happened.
Okay. Well, we'll get to the sequence. And this is when Mr. Depp supposedly assaulted you with a bottle, right?
On the countertop, he assaulted me.
So Mr. Depp was able to get you on the counter, right?
He held me down by my neck.
And hold you down by your neck.
That is correct.
And he grabbed a bottle, according to you, while holding you down by the neck, correct?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me?
While Mr. Depp is holding you by the neck against the countertop, he grabs a bottle. That's your testimony.
No, those two things didn't happen at the exact same time, no.
So he's holding the bottle, is that your testimony? While holding you down by the neck?
Sorry, what was your question?
Your testimony is, Ms. Heard, that either he has the bottle before or after he's holding you by the neck on the counter. Is that your testimony?
He held me by the neck on the counter.
Where's the bottle that he assaulted you with?
At what point?
While holding you down by your neck.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, it was in his hand.
Okay. Was it in his hand before or after he holds you down by your neck?
I was being held down while he assaulted me with the bottle.
When he puts you on the counter, does he have the bottle in his hand, yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
So he penetrates you with this bottle. But you don't know how he got the bottle, right?
That is correct.
And he did that right after he lost the tip of his right middle finger.
Again, I don't remember the exact sequence of those events.
We'll get to the sequence. And while he was on 8 to 10 MDMA pills, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the sequence. This is the sequence of events you testified to in this courtroom. That he smashed the phone to smithereens and then assaulted you, lost the tip of his finger, and then assaulted you with a bottle. Yes, that's the sequence of events that you testified to in this courtroom.
To be clear, you're putting it in order when you say words like then. I have never claimed that I can remember the exact sequence of these things. This was a multi-day assault that took place over 3 horrible days.
Ms. Heard,
it's the worst thing ever happened to me. I don't remember
Ms. Heard,
the exact sequence.
that's not my question. My question isn't about the 3-day assault allegedly that occurred. I'm just talking about the sexual assault that you now allege occurred.
Yeah,
okay?
That's correct.
To me, the sequence is everything in trying to figure out the plausibility of the allegations by Amber Heard here. Because if his finger is severed first, to me, it's much more difficult to believe that a sexual assault took place next, if he has severed his finger first. But as I said, right, it's not clear from the testimony, the order of this, Amber Heard admitting that. I just don't know which happened first, the severed finger or the sexual assault. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, joining us live from outside the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia tonight. Chanley, to me, this has always been a very significant event because it's the most violent. It's the one that, if it's true, it is a horrific crime. Either way, right? The severing of the finger or the sexual assault or, you know, whatever's in between, right? This is just so violent, so outrageous. Tell us more about some of the cross-examination and what the jury is left with in this story about what happened in Australia.
Yeah, Camille Vasquez began her cross really about what happened in Australia 2015, not long after they were married. Of course, he's there filming Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and this is what Amber Heard characterized as a 3-day hostage situation. She claims Johnny Depp, high on 8 to 10 MDMA pills, really assaulted her physically and, of course, sexually over the course of 3 days. And it was an intense moment, really a dramatic moment, sitting in the courtroom, Vinnie, when Camille was trying to nail down the order of what happened and when it happened. She started with the phone that was mounted to the wall, where Amber Heard alleges that Johnny Depp slammed this mounted phone into the wall over and over again as if it was her head, saying that he hated her. And that's allegedly how possibly he severed his finger, which is also unclear according to Amber Heard's version of events. And you're right, if that happened first and then he assaults her with this liquor bottle, which the jury was shown that bottle again on the screen, it's confusing. And it can really be interesting how this is taken. Is this a traumatic situation where someone can't remember the details in order, or is it what Depp's team hopes this jury believes, which is that she embellished and elaborated to the point that she really can't say because they say it's made up? So let's watch a part, though, because Camille uses several methods or avenues to try to contradict Amber's version of events that happened, including audio recordings and some photos that she even took, you know, those messages on the mirrors, Vinnie, those type of photos that Amber admitted she took. And there was one point where Camille said, so you're taking photos of blood on a mirror with paint that your husband wrote while he's bleeding out of his finger. That was a key moment, but also this moment was key. Let's watch.
Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger after you threw a bottle at him. Isn't that right?
That is incorrect.
You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle in Australia. Isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
I didn't assault Johnny in Australia. I didn't assault Johnny ever. I couldn't.
And then after he was injured, he had to hide from you, right?
That is incorrect.
5 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
That is incorrect.
And you would pursue him.
That is incorrect.
This line of questioning came after Camille played an audio recording with the couple allegedly discussing what happened in Australia, where Depp basically says he tried to stay away from her. Camille says, isn't that what really happened in Australia? And of course, Vinnie, Amber Heard vehemently denies all of that.
This is so crucial. I thought was some of the most effective cross-examination because of the nature of the allegations in Australia, and we're getting 2 completely different pictures here. And Depp and his team, Camille Vasquez leading the charge here on cross-examination, that Johnny's trying to get away from her the whole time, and she's pursuing him from bathroom to bathroom to bathroom. And it was, you know, the jury's got to believe one or the other. There's no in-between ground here. Someone is attacking someone. Someone is going after someone. Someone is trying to get away. And it can be, I thought I was confused, but it's because it's not 100% clear. We're going to try to figure all that out. And we're going to take a look at a lot more of the cross-examination. But while I have you here, right now, she did complete her testimony today. So what other testimony did the jury hear today?
Yeah, the defense case rolled on, Vinny, with some video depositions of key players and names this jury has heard repeatedly in other testimony, including her friend, Io Tillett Wright, who was on the phone with Amber and could hear Johnny Depp during the May 21st, 2016 incident at the penthouse where Amber says Johnny threw a cell phone in her face, and that led to the restraining order and, of course, their divorce. And he effectively really seemed to come across via video. He wasn't in person, obviously, so he's in video, but he became emotional when he recounted what he overheard Johnny Depp yelling at Amber in that fight, saying that, Johnny Depp threatened to peel Heard's hair back in the phone call and some other threats, so he called 911. Also, after his deposition ended, the defense called Rocky Pennington, a pre-recorded deposition, Vinny, and Rocky Pennington, someone who lived up there, the pit house with Johnny Depp, the same floor, rent-free with her fiance at the time, Josh Drew, and it's just underway. We heard about 30 minutes or so of her testimony where she's kind of setting the stage of how she met Amber Heard. They're no longer friends, by the way, but that what she started to observe as far as Johnny Depp when he was behaving and drinking, and Amber as well. So her testimony continues tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I was shocked when I heard that, because all along Amber Heard's talking about my best friend, my best friend, my best friend. And then she's testifying, we're not friends anymore. Wow. All right, Shanley Painter, thank you so much. We'll speak again in just a little bit. I want to bring in, joining me right now in New York City, psychotherapist, host of Talking Live on Facebook Watch and the Bite Side podcast, Dr. Robbie Ludwig. And I have the question that Shanley was really bringing up in our discussion about Australia and the sequence of events. Can trauma cause you to not remember when you were sexually assaulted versus when your husband's finger was severed? Two big events that took place in Australia. And from her testimony, some point during the course of 3 days, but she cannot remember which happened first. Does that sound consistent with what could happen during a traumatic event like that?
Absolutely. It's not uncommon for those who have experienced trauma to not have access to the accuracy of the memory. They may see certain pieces of the event. They have an emotional feeling. In some cases, it can create amnesia, where the actual trauma doesn't surface until the psyche is strong enough to remember the incident that happened. I guess the interesting idea that's being explored here is a credibility issue. So are we seeing Amber struggling with this testimony because of true trauma, or are we seeing her struggle because it's something that she constructed or embellished? And as a woman, nobody wants to accuse another woman who's been victimized as falsifying a statement. We know it does happen. We certainly want everyone who has been victimized to feel comfortable coming forth. And there's the challenge, when you come forth, they almost are treated like they are not telling the truth. So there is the challenge there. But that's the problem in this whole trial. It seems to be a credibility issue, and who seems to be most credible.
Yeah, and they just have to be just that much more credible than the other. That's it. That's all they need in this case. Dr. Robbie Ludwig staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about the honeymoon. That came up again on cross-examination. The honeymoon on the Orient Express is next.
Well, the train trip itself was peaceful up until Johnny wanted to start drinking brown alcohol. He had already started drinking champagne. When I returned from the press tour, that's what he was drinking, wine and champagne. When he wrapped on Pirates 5, the plan was for us to do this honeymoon. I was walking a bit on eggshells because I know a pattern, but I was not wanting to accept that we had gone back to a pattern at all.
So it was the delayed honeymoon for Amber Heard and Johnny Depp aboard the Orient Express. And you know nothing good ever happens on the Orient Express, right? We've seen that movie. Anyhow, take a listen to Amber Heard on direct examination, detailing for the jury what she says happened during the honeymoon on the Orient Express.
And on the last night we were on the train, after this was taken, this photo, Johnny and I got in an argument about him wanting to be allowed, meaning him wanting me to agree to him drinking liquor and being okay with it. And an argument followed that in our sleeping car. Johnny slapped me across the face and held me up by got a hold of my neck and pushed me up against the wall of the cart. It was a narrow sleeper cart, and there were two beds, one on each side. He had me up against the wall while he was standing on the floor in between the beds, and I was on the bed, kind of half kneeling, half standing, trying to get his arms off my neck, and he was squeezing my neck against the railway car for what felt like a very long time. And every time he kind of would pull me away from the side of the car, he'd slam me up against the wall. And I remember looking down at him and trying to get his arms off of my neck. And I remember thinking that he could not even mean to kill me. I remember being scared that he wouldn't even mean to do it.
Now, this trip on the Orient Express came up through cross-examination, and it came up through cross-examination because Amber Heard and Johnny Depp had a love journal where one person would get the love journal and write a note to the other, and then the other person would get the journal, they'd read the note, and then they'd write a note back to the other person, okay? So let's listen now to the cross-examination with the use of the love journal.
This is a note from you to Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
This is a note you wrote on July 22nd, 2015.
That is correct.
And it starts off with the words, "My husband, happy honeymoon," right?
That's correct.
Ms. Heard, please take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A at page 67. This is another note from you to Mr. Depp in your journal, right?
That is correct.
And this one is dated August 1st, 2015.
That's correct.
And you write, "That's enough. You've held this book hostage long enough. Although I can't wait to read my note, I also couldn't wait to tell you how much I adore you. What a beautiful, extraordinary, magical, memorable, wonderful, stunning, surprisingly evolving, and impulsive adventure. I couldn't have imagined a more gorgeous honeymoon. I love you more and more every passing day. XX Slim." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
I don't know. Was that the same honeymoon she was describing? Let's bring in our guest, still with us, psychotherapist, host of Talking Live on Facebook Watch and the Bite Side Podcast, Dr. Robbie Ludwig. Joining us now, River Edge, New Jersey, family law attorney Janelle Weinstein, and in Orlando, Florida, human behavior expert Susan Constantine. Great to see everyone. Susan, let me start with you. This testimony, she described being attacked on the Orient Express during the honeymoon. And we saw that testimony, we heard that testimony, and then we saw her reacting to that journal entry where she described a wonderful adventure. What are we to make of all this?
Well, again, as you know, it's the same thing, Vinnie, is that there's so much discrepancy in what she's testifying to. She's reading her journal of this wonderful, exciting weekend, and then you turn around and you listen to her testimony, and you're going, the two are incongruent. So are they talking about the same weekend? Because it is confusing. And so what's missing is missing information. We are not getting the full story. And that's what I keep going back to over and over again. We're not getting the full story. We're getting little bits and pieces of it. And she tends to maximize what Johnny does, minimizes her involvement. And when I'm watching her body language, there's so much inconsistency, but there is truth in it. So there are bits and pieces of it, of truth in it, but there's so much woven exaggeration and deception among it in her words, her voice analysis. Remember, we did that just the other night together. And then you watch her behavior, the rapid eye blinking, the hand gestures not in sync with the movements, and then sometimes they are. So I do think that there was some sort of altercation, but I don't believe it happened the way they said it is. And that is the thing we keep going back to. It just didn't happen the way Amber's describing it.
Janelle Weinstein, the way she described it on direct, it's like they should have brought Janelle on the honeymoon, right? As the family law attorney to just, stop it right there on the honeymoon to me. But then she writes about it, and she writes about it in such glowing words. It's like you're impeached by your own love journal.
Exactly right, Vinnie. I'm not laughing because it's not funny, but I'm laughing because I'm thinking, if I'm sitting here on the jury and I'm trying to figure all this out like we're doing, and we have this writing from her in close time to when all these terrible things were supposed to happen, I think that has great weight for the jury trying to figure out if she's credible or not. It's done at the same time, not years later. And to me, the jury's going to weigh that heavily. But we have to remember, at the end of the day, this is Johnny Depp having to prove that what she's saying, everything she's saying, is not true. So
right, but just this much, not beyond a reasonable doubt, just this much, Janelle.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, I don't know. It's getting in the minds of the jurors. We've done this many, many years over and over again, Vinnie, trying to think if we can read these jurors. But I think that this writing is going to have a lot of weight since it was written in such close time to these incidents happening.
Dr. Robbie Ludwig, is a love journal a good idea? And do we tell the truth in our love journals?
It usually is.
Do we tell the truth in our love journals?
Well, I think the question we're all having here is, why is this so confusing? Even the smart people on the jury are going to be like, why am I not getting this? Why is this not making sense? And so usually when that is going on, something is not being told, that there's information that's missing. So for example, did Amber Heard and Johnny Depp have one of those crazy hookups where they get in huge fights that were over the top, and then they would go into a loving cycle? And did this happen often? And now the question is, did the fights happen and were they manageable, or were they truly threatening? And that is where we are all at. And we're all trying to make sense out of, why is Amber describing her story in this extreme way? I thought it was so interesting, Vinnie, when you said she was talking about a best friend observing something. And it turned out this best friend is somebody that she actually has no relationship with. I think those kinds of descriptions and the way she kind of just presents things in ways that are simply not true, I think it's going to weigh on the jury at some point, if not already. Okay, when we come back, we're going to listen to Johnny and Amber recordings.
you know, they're recording each other, and we're getting to hear it all. And what does that reveal? What story does that tell? We'll play them for you next.
Your guide to happy plants.
You don't want to sell out or anything. Let's sell you journals. Oh, wait. Hey, you know, no, you're not what? No, you're not selling out.
You don't want to sell out, Magic Mike.
No.
You don't want to sell out.
No one does 21 Jump Street when they're in their 20s. No, you're right. That's not selling out. No. When you're in your 20s, you should really know what you want. Like selling your journals.
If you didn't know who the f*** I was.
You're You're right. Go sell your journals like a real non-sellout. 55-year-old. Or, I'm sorry,
6.
51. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point.
No.
I don't think so.
It really does.
I don't really think so. But you're right. I mean, hey, at least I didn't do like a TV show where I was heartthrob in my 20s. God, that would be like embarrassing. If only I was with someone in their 50s that could point that out to me. Imagine, Mike, you're right. When you play a non-sexualized object. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. You got me. You got it all figured out.
You don't even know what movies I've done.
If only I could
You
be
haven't
like,
even taken an interest.
if only I could be like,
but I had to
if
watch
only
your,
I could be like.
I had to watch your direct and you trying to like.
Unbelievable. I mean, they're having this crazy argument about their careers, and I guess Johnny's trying to give her advice. He wants to keep her out of these movies, TV shows. She's making fun of his career. I mean, this is insanity. Jury's hearing all of it. Let's bring back in our guests, Dr. Robbie Ludwig, Janelle Weinstein, Susan Constantine. Susan, what we hear in these recordings, especially this one, which is where they're kind of like going after each other's career choices and what they've done, completely different people, completely different behavior than what we're seeing inside the courtroom.
Yeah, and I think that they kind of feed, on each other's emotions. And it's just, it's a very toxic relationship, obviously. And they just kind of keep biting at each other, biting. And then it starts to escalate, right? But who's the one that's mainly talking? So, and when I'm listening to that, in all the recordings, I hear Amber's voice always louder, more controlling, and more dominating, more sensationalized than Johnny. I think what she does is she's not getting the emotion that she wants out of him, so she escalates it and then she hypens it to get him to show or to express something back to her. I think it's a pathological issue. I think there's a psychological issue behind this. And so I think that's the root of what we're looking at with Amber Heard.
I want to play another recording. This is Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. They're in his car or in one of their cars. He's getting ready to leave to go to the man cave. She doesn't want him to leave. Take a listen.
Then let's not do this anymore because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really, really sick of this argument.
Stop. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let me go and you go and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Okay? Okay?
Stop. Okay.
Why are you saying stop?
Because
May
you're being
I go?
Please, it causes me so much stress when you leave, when you walk away from me with that. It's like you don't understand how much worse you're making this.
I can't believe this.
Please, you're making it worse for me.
Okay, I'm sorry for you.
Please, I'm only trying to tell you so that you know you're causing me immense stress right now when you walk away like that. There's no reason to be mad.
Then say goodbye. I haven't walked away. You're not saying goodbye. You won't let me leave. Let me leave.
Stop rushing me! Stop pushing me in the corner and then poking me with a stick and then saying, why are you saying the words you want me to say? Stop poking me! Stop rushing me! Stop throwing me against the wall and going, what? You don't like that wall? You don't like that wall? Stop pushing me!
Remember? I'm not pushing you. I'm not rushing you. I said, I need space. I don't want this conversation anymore right now. I need space. And I will take my space, whether you like it or not.
Janelle Weinstein, this is a theme for Johnny Depp and his team, that he's always trying to get away, trying to avoid conflict. And here we hear her not letting him go.
Yeah, again, Vinny, here we have evidence in real time of what's going on that the jury's listening to. And the hope is on redirect, when Amber Heard's attorney had the chance to rehabilitate her and really get an idea of, put the pieces together. I don't think that happened. And I think the jury's looking for that. They want to clarification. The job of Johnny Depp, attorney on cross-examination, obviously isn't to fill those gaps. It's Amber Heard's attorney. And that's the important part, that redirect. And we didn't see that today. Did we not see it because there's nothing to connect, that really what she's saying is not true? Or is it, some other reason, the lack of the ability to get that testimony from her. But it's really interesting to have so much evidence in real time or close to the time that the jury's hearing out of the party's mouth, not from other people, not 3 years later. It's very compelling, and it will be very interesting to see how the jury looks at this.
Yeah, Dr. Robbie Ludwig, this is not classic wife-beater dynamic that we are listening to. Unless I'm mistaken, do men who abuse women, do they leave the situation? Do they go away? Do they walk away? Is that the way it goes down, and I'm just mistaken here?
Well, what we just heard is a very different dynamic than what Amber Heard is presenting, how she was a victim in a very classic way, physically and emotionally, and she couldn't control Johnny Depp from hurting her. And then we hear on the tape, he is asking her, let's de-escalate what's going on. I need to leave. Let's regroup when we can both be more centered about it. That is not somebody classically who is an abuser. Somebody who's an abuser, they don't really have the wherewithal to tolerate emotions and to walk away, which is part of the problem. So again, a real head scratcher and very confusing. It doesn't mean abuse didn't happen, but this dynamic is very different than what Amber is presenting and has presented.
You know, Susan, I'm going to hit you with something out of left field. And
Yep.
I've noticed it throughout that Amber Heard, a lot of cross-examination, kept taking a sip. Is there any significance to when you grab it, when you grab the beverage? Is it a crutch? Or is it just you're thirsty? You're testifying. You gotta wet your palate.
Well, there's a couple things that go on. One was that fear, right? Fear of flight. When they start to feel like they're under a lot of anxiety, they feel fearful, they'll go ahead and they'll grab the water and drink it. It's also a pacifier. So it's a grooming gesture. Let me attach my fingers to do something else to pass time away, to soothe the stress and the anxiety that I'm feeling. But I think you picked out a really good point, Vinnie, and that is, when does she pick up the bottle? And when does she not? So that's a really good one. It's also really good to watch the jury when they put the pen to the paper and when they do it, who it is. That's how I look for jurors to see what they're actually thinking.
Absolutely. What a great job tonight, Dr. Robbie Ludwig, Janelle Weinstein, Susan Constantine. We will speak again. I know that for sure. So thanks so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. When we come back, Chanley Painter live from the courthouse. And I think they're lining up already to get into the courtroom tomorrow. We'll have the latest next.
.com.
Are supposed to make a line for 1 o'clock, and we will be there, and we'll take a nap and then get up in the morning. 7 o'clock they start giving us the bands, and then we can go and see the trial. So it's like 100 people who they allow to get inside. So that's how it's going to be the drill.
Is it like the second night for you guys?
Yeah, it's the second night. We got here last night at 11:30 and missed getting in by about 8 people, and so my wife stayed the entire night and been here since.
That's what was happening last night outside the courthouse. Let's go live to Chanley Painter, who's outside the courthouse tonight, where apparently they're already lining up. Chanley?
Hey, Vinny, that's right. I am just across the street from the actual courthouse where this trial is taking place, and you can see people lining up the night before to get in. Who are you guys here to see? Johnny Depp. Most everyone here. We have Sarah just brought the snacks up for everyone. People bringing their chairs, sleeping bags. And right now we're at number 45. That's where we are right now. Where are you from?
From here, Fairfax.
From here. And of course, you're here to support Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. So 45 right now at 9 o'clock the night before. Wristbands are handed out at 7 a.m. You guys are from?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
And why did you come all this way?
We wanted to see Johnny. Yeah.
Support him.
Yeah, support Johnny.
And Vinny, these two traveled 22 hours to be here. Tell us about that. First, say your name.
My name's Amanda, and this is my mother-in-law, Lori. We're from Omaha, Nebraska, and we are Team Johnny all the way.
And what makes you so motivated to drive so long to be here? What do you love most about Johnny Depp?
Just to support him, the fact that he is such a humble person and the money hasn't changed him. You know, he's not in his ego and everything. So we just love who he is as a person.
And have you been in the courtroom before?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you make of the testimony?
On Monday, I was in there. I just think Amber is full of it. So that's all I can really say.
It's sitting in the courtroom, the gallery, it's full of, Johnny Depp fans and people who aren't supporting Amber Heard. Anyone here for Amber Heard? No, crickets. Okay, where are you guys from?
Ontario, Canada.
Wow, okay. And of course, why did you come all this way?
Well, I'm a master's student in criminology, so it's field research.
And she suckered me into coming with her, so.
Nice. Are you mom? Okay, so like a girls' trip.
Yes. Girls' trip, that's right.
Nice. And did you come prepared? You're going to be out here for hours all night long. What did you bring?
Snacks, water, books. Entertainment, the chair. Yeah.
The love seat.
Nice. Who needs sleep?
Not us.
Sleep with Johnny Depp. Okay, great. Let's make our way on down the line some more, Vinny. Okay, who do we got down here? Where are you from?
Connecticut.
You're number 25.
Yep.
That means you're going to be in that courtroom.
Oh, yeah, I'm determined. I was on a train for 7 hours, like 7.5 hours.
Wow.
Yep.
Are you going to stay just for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm leaving on Thursday. Okay. Literally super early, 6 in the morning.
Good. Okay, now we're near the front of the line. I want to just introduce you, Vinny, to my friend Netra, who I've seen in the courtroom many, many days. Who comes here. You're a student. Yes. Tell us about why you bring really your whole family, your dad. Now I've met your mom and your sister. Why are you all coming out?
Family's here. Today, usually it's me and my dad. We're here every day. Chanley knows because I'm always next to her. We're like court buddies. Yes, and today, they have work, so they're actually just here to drop me off. But you know what? I am not missing this. Even if they're not here with me, I'm going to be in the courtroom, so.
Determined. And you've observed a lot of the testimony, so what is your take sitting in the courtroom and how you've been seeing the evidence come in and what stood out the most to you?
I'm Team Johnny, so I think it's going pretty well. The cross-examination was amazing. I think
seems to be the consensus. Everybody agree Camille Vasquez, cross-examination, did great. Vinny, there's another familiar face. I know we're sort of running out of time, but remember Janine Driver, been on your show so many times. Look, she's number 2 in line.
Driver! Hey, Vinny, I'm number 3. I told you, I was getting in the courtroom. I'm here to evaluate the jury, as I told you, so you should have me on tomorrow. I'm here to evaluate the jury. What am I seeing? What is my expectation? Who seems to, be nodding off and who's still paying attention, and that's where I'm at. I was hoping to see Cross, but I ran out. So I came in at 10 a.m. this morning because Court TV didn't get me a pass for myself, and my host daughter is here from Italy, Valentina. So I'm not going to go in without her. She leaves on Tuesday next week. So I'm just a citizen today looking for the truth.
Awesome, great. It's been fun getting to know everyone out here, wishing them the best. And they even gave me a number one at the top of the line here, Vinny, to wait to get inside that courtroom for this really kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience, right, guys? We'll send it back to you.
I'll tell you what, Chanley. First of all, it's amazing that they're giving each other these numbers to create some level of order and everything else, so it's not complete chaos. You have to hand it to them there. A lot of mother-daughter teams I'm seeing out there, which is another interesting dynamic at that courthouse.
Oh, absolutely. Families here inside the courtroom, even friends will come together, travel together, but a lot of family members. We've got mothers and daughters here, mostly. Netra brings her dad almost every time, Vinny, which he's the coolest dad ever. And so it's just, and they make friends in line. You guys make friends in line as well as they wait here. And donate food and pizzas. It's really a community out here at the Fairfax County Courthouse.
The only thing that surprised me is that they don't have like a iPod watching Johnny Depp movies, but you know, maybe later on tonight they'll do that.
That's next. Where's the Johnny Depp movies?
Chanley Painter at the courthouse or across the street from the courthouse online tonight. When we come back, we'll take a look at that showdown, Amber Heard versus Camille Vasquez. In Fairfax County, Virginia, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. Amber Heard on the stand facing some intense cross-examination.
This was a multi-day assault that took place over 3 horrible days.
Ms. Heard,
It's the worst thing ever
Ms.
happened to me. I
We're
don't
not
remember
Ms.
the
Heard,
exact
that's
sequence.
not my question. You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle in Australia, isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
I didn't assault Johnny in Australia. I didn't assault Johnny ever.
Did Amber's story hold up? Did she prove to the jury that Johnny abused her? We look at the crucial moments and break it down with our think tank.
You weren't scared of him at all, were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course it's scary.
On the docket in Ocilla, Georgia, beauty queen and teacher Tara Grinstead vanished in 2005. Now, one of her former students on trial for her murder takes the stand.
Mr. Duke, did you murder Tara Grinstead?
I did not.
Plus, actor James Franco's name keeps coming up in the trial of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. So, tonight's 13th juror question: what impact did Franco have on their relationship, and what questions should he answer on the witness stand? Buckle your seatbelts. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. I'm Vinnie Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. An intense battle inside the courtroom, one for the ages. You remember Juan Martinez versus Jodi Arias. You'll never forget that one, right? Jose Baez versus George Anthony. Tonight, we're talking about Camille Vasquez versus Amber Heard. Going toe-to-toe. The cross-examination today inside the courtroom. It was a battle. It was real. It was intense. Take a look.
This is a set of text messages, and it's from October 2015. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
In fact, you sent all of these messages to Mr. Depp on October 22nd, 2015. Isn't that right?
Exactly. Same thing was happening here.
And again, I'm not going to read them all, but you start off again by trying to get Mr. Depp's attention, right? You write, "Please come home."
I was trying to stop another bender.
You write, "Please come home," right?
That is correct.
Please answer. Don't break us up. Please answer. Please. And continuing on page 97, you write, "Give me some piece of your heart. Please, no fight, I promise. Please, no fights. Please, just pick up. Please give me 2 minutes. I'm dying. Please." And continuing on page 98, you write, "Please come home. Please come home, Baba. I am so sorry." Actually, you didn't say Baba, you said baby. Apologies. And it goes on. Did I read those correctly?
That is correct. That was another time I'm trying to stop another twist off.
This is what would happen when Mr. Depp would try to take some space from you, right?
No, this is what would happen when Johnny had moved into the next phase of the cycle, decided to use,
No,
and our
Ms.
lives
Heard.
were getting a lot worse at that
Ms.
point.
Heard, I'm talking about your actions. This is what you would do to Mr. Depp when he would leave you. You would harangue him.
I would try
Isn't that
to-
correct? You
I
would
would try-
harangue him.
Your Honor, at least let her answer the question. She interrupted you.
That's fine. Go ahead and answer the question.
I do not think I would characterize my behavior that way. I was trying to stop him from using.
You were texting him incessantly. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
It was imperative for my life.
Ms.
It
Heard,
was very
my
important
question is
to me.
much more simple. You were texting him incessantly.
I would
Yes
try
or no?
everything to
Ms.
get a hold
Heard?
of him and
So
to
that's a
stop the
yes.
cycle.
That's a yes, right?
I would try everything to stop the cycle. It was that important to me.
And he's the monster for not responding to you,
That's not what made him the monster.
for
No.
needing space from you.
The monster was not the guy who needed space. The
Not
monster
for
was
doing
who he
drugs.
was when he came back.
Not for doing drugs, Ms. Heard. Not for being violent. Just for needing space. That's when you called Mr. Depp the monster.
Incorrect.
Quite a battle. Intense. Everything on the line here. Because it's about credibility. This whole case is predicated upon the credibility of Amber Heard because Johnny Depp has accused her of lying. She is saying, I'm not lying, I'm telling the truth. When you say I'm lying, you're lying about me lying. It all comes back to her statements. Did she tell the truth? Did she not? Who won this battle today? Let's bring in the think tank. Join us tonight in Atlanta, Georgia. Criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor, law professor at Texas Southern University, Michael Sterling. In Seattle, Washington, trial attorney Ann Bremner. And in West Palm Beach, Florida, former police lieutenant and trial attorney Rick King. Great to see everyone tonight. Michael Sterling, I know you've had those battles inside the courtroom too. All three of you have. What do you think of that dynamic? And who is controlling it? Who's winning? Who's coming out looking like they're the one on the right side of this battle back and forth?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Vasquez controlled the battle. In all fairness, in cross-examination, the witness under a skilled defense attorney, under a skilled attorney who knows how to cross-examine is at a disadvantage. Because if you do it right, you're in complete control. And Vasquez, and she clearly did it right. She was in control from start to finish. She knew exactly the line of questions she wants to bring out. And Vinnie, the thing about it is lawyers can see she's setting up her closing argument. Good lawyers can see she's setting up her closing argument. You know, you hear Amber Heard say, no, it was the monster that he was when he came back. That's what she wanted to hear, because she's setting her up to say, well, why were you begging him to come back if he was the monster when he came back? And she's going to get her in closing on that very line.
Ann Bremner, what'd you think of this back and forth?
Well, it was a work of art by Vasquez. She did a beautiful job. I thought that she led the dance. She followed all the rules of cross-examination. Remember the ones from Irving Younger, to be brief, but get to the point, don't ask why questions. Make it like a narrative. Basically, what we listened to was a narrative from Vasquez about her theory of the case. And I was just young. She's excellent. I mean, she's the best cross-examiner that I've seen in a high-profile case that we've covered or that I've been involved in. Because she's also very polite, she's very humble, and she's very organized, and she's unflappable. I guess I could say she's invincible, like we've been seeing on TikTok about Johnny Depp, right? But she is. But
Rick King, the preparation that goes into what she was doing and where she was going, a lot of hours to be, she was ready for just about everything that was happening during this cross-examination, had a game plan, was executing it. But what are your thoughts about the way the jury will take this tone? Did she go too far? Was she bullying? Was she being unfair? Was she taking things out of context? Was there anything in the way she was cross-examining Amber Heard that you think could be used or interpreted against her?
I thought she was masterful. I thought they were well prepared. I thought that everything they had was well oiled. It was orchestrated. Her team was helping her when she needed documents. They were right on point when they were doing visual demonstrative aids. I thought it was excellent. But what I did notice and what I did enjoy watching was Amber Heard's attempt to win the jury. And what she would do is something that a long time ago when I was a police officer, they trained us to do, which was, when you ask me a question, Vinnie, I turn to the jury and I talk to them. And she tried to do, but here's the bad part though. It came off as, I thought, disrespectful at times. And you got to be careful how you do it and to the extent that you do it. And I thought that she overplayed it. And I think it's going to hurt her in the end because it came out disrespectful and somewhat, like she was placating. It was almost too obvious. So I thought that Ms. Vasquez did a masterful job today.
Yeah, Rick, that's such a great point. And I think there's, direct examination, it's a lot easier. It's your attorney asking you these open-ended questions, and then you can turn and you can tell your story. Cross-examination is very limited questions. So there's a way to answer the question and then try to maybe explain after you answer directly. But the more you're going away from that person who's talking to you, it did seem a little awkward at times, but I know what she was trying to do, and it was effective, yes, I thought, on direct examination in telling the story. Michael, let's listen to more cross-examination. Here, they're talking about leaks to TMZ, the paparazzi, that Hollywood stuff. Let's take a listen.
slipped up there, didn't you, Ms. Heard? You let it slip out that TMZ had been alerted to your filing of the domestic violence restraining order, didn't you?
I disagree. That's not what I'm talking about.
TMZ is the same outlet that you released the video of Mr. Depp attacking the kitchen cabinets the day before this deposition was taken, wasn't it?
I didn't do that. I don't know how to do that.
TMZ owns the copyright to that video now, doesn't it?
I have no idea what TMZ owns.
Did they pay you for that?
I never got paid for it because I had nothing to do with that.
So TMZ was just lucky in getting the inside scoop to your divorce from Mr. Depp, huh?
I have no idea. That's not my area of expertise. I wouldn't even know how to do that. And also, what does that get me? If I wanted to leak things about Johnny, I could have done that in a much more successful way, in a bigger way, for years.
Not when you were extorting him for $7 million.
I got a fraction of what I was entitled to in the state of California, by the way.
Right.
What extortion?
A little dicey there at the end, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, this is why you prepare your clients for cross-examination. You're not going to win that battle. I will help you on redirect. Just answer the question, right? And Amber would have done herself many more favors if she simply said, well, no, that's not true. If she simply kept a calm demeanor and not try to give some sort of alternative explanation. Relax. Right. I'm going to come back on redirect. I'm taking notes. I'm going to let you explain a lot of the things that that the cross-examiner would not let you explain. And you've got to have your clients prepared. And trying to win that battle just really, Vinnie, it came off. It made her look worse. It made her look worse. I could have been exploited him. Well, then if you could have exploited him, then you could be exploiting him now. Or you know, it's, don't try to win that battle. And she was trying too hard to win a battle that she was at a disadvantage and she just wasn't going to win. She'd have done herself, better service if you'd have just let her lawyer handle it.
Yeah, it really seems in that last moment that Camille Vasquez finally really got under her skin when it came to the money and the settlement at the end. And
yeah, is that for me?
yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry. Okay, I was kind of.
I forgot to say who it was. I was looking at you. I was thinking about you, but I didn't actually say your name. My fault.
Okay, thanks, Vinnie. No. Yeah, I think she got under her skin, and I actually thought the reason that the Amber Heard's attorney, Elaine Breithoff, had such a short redirect is I just don't think she had anywhere to go. It made me think of that saying that litigators drink white wine, trial lawyers scotch. I really thought that Elaine was more of a litigator and that Camille is one of the scotch drinkers. I mean, she's a trial lawyer. And it was just hard. It was just too hard to unwind it, too hard to get back. It was just like get in, do your redirect. And how long did that take? Maybe 15, 20 minutes? Seemed like. She was done.
Now, Rick King, there was another moment in this cross-examination I found really interesting. It's a little bit under the radar in terms of, because so many things happened. I mean, it's just one after the other. But it involved the honeymoon. They went on the Orient Express, and there was a photo that was put into evidence. You look at the photo, it looks like Johnny Depp's got a black eye, right? And let's take a listen to how that testimony went when they brought up the photo and whatever happened on the Orient Express.
This is the picture. This picture shows an injury to Mr. Depp's face, doesn't it?
I disagree. I've seen this picture.
Okay, Ms. Heard,
I've seen
I
this
got
picture
the answer. Thank
before,
you.
and
You disagree?
he's not injured in it.
He's not injured in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's your testimony. Fine.
This one is photoshopped.
Ms. Heard.
Photoshopped. Now Rick, tell me how big this is. Like, if you're going to say, I've seen the picture and this is photoshopped, you're basically either accusing Johnny Depp's team of falsifying evidence, right? I mean, that's what you're basically doing, because they put it into evidence. They put it into evidence, Johnny Depp's team. And if it's photoshopped, you get in a lot of trouble for photoshopping and forging evidence, right?
You absolutely would. And so just to go back to Michael Sterling's point a few minutes ago, this is all about preparation. You can't, he's right, you can't, because in cross-examination, and we all know that Cross-examination is that lawyer, that defense lawyer, telling that story. And their job is to tell the story, give the narrative, and the witness's job, unfortunately, if it's done correctly, one question at a time, facts that it's a head nod. Yes, that's what happened, and it's the preparation for that, and your understanding of that as the lawyer for the witness to be able to come back and rescue or repair or somehow rehabilitate what has happened on that side. Michael Sterling is 100%. You're not going to win. You just want to be credible, and trying to say that there's no injuries on his face in that picture is just not credible. And that was a huge part of the trial, and I think that's going to be a huge part of why this trial may not go her way.
Vinnie, she could have easily said it does appear to be an injury on his face from that picture. Left it at that. And then a lawyer gets up on redirect and says, have you seen other versions of this picture? Yes. And in other versions of this picture, was he injured? No. And if they've got another version of the picture, you introduce it into evidence. You're not going to win that battle.
And that's a huge moment for Amber Heard if you're going to produce a picture. And then Johnny Depp's team would probably accuse them of doctoring the picture and taking the black eye out.
But all things even, she wins, right?
Yes. Imagine the impact if they come back that way. Imagine that impact if they come back with their own photo.
It would be huge. What a big day. Okay, so we're talking a lot about redirect and other things that happen. When we come back, we got our think tank with us the whole hour. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the redirect and the other testimony inside the courtroom. It was a big day. Amber Heard, cross-examination, redirect. She's now off the witness stand. So how did she end up doing it? What do you think? We're going to talk about it. Don't go anywhere. Wow.
today at grove.com.
Mr. Depp hasn't looked at you once this entire trial, has he?
Not that I've noticed, no.
You've looked at him, though, many times, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
You know exactly why Mr. Depp won't look back at you, don't you?
I do.
He promised you you would never see his eyes again. Isn't that true?
I don't recall if he said that.
Okay, that was during cross-examination. That's how cross-examination began. Now I want to show you what happened on that same note, right? The fact that Johnny Depp has got his head down for the whole trial, never, ever, ever looking at Amber Heard, right? It's kind of awkward, right? As we were watching it, but then that big explanation came out during cross-examination. Well, now take a listen to what happened on redirect when Amber Heard spoke about it once again.
Could you tell the jury what the coaster was that he slipped into your pocket, what it said?
It said, "I love you forever, my Slim, dead or alive."
And what, if anything, did it have in addition?
His new phone number.
And to be, just so we're clear, on how many occasions in that second mediation did Mr. Depp look you in the eye?
Many.
Okay. And when Ms. Vasquez asked you if you knew why Mr. Depp couldn't or wouldn't look you in the eye here or in the UK, you said, yes, you know. Why? Please tell the jury why.
Because he's guilty.
Not a criminal trial, but it is, right? Let's bring back in the think tank. Ann Bremner, do you think that was some good redirect, some good rehabilitation, and maybe helps her out a little bit?
I do, Vinny. I thought that was excellent. And maybe that's all she should have asked. I mean, when I said about litigators, trial lawyers, I think that Amber Heard's lawyers are more kind of a deposition-taking civil settlement lawyers as opposed to, the theater trial for experience. And I think redirect needed more. It just did. There was so much to unravel and to undo. But I will say that was an excellent question and a great answer for Amber.
Rick King, what do you think overall of this whole thing, the way it's playing out in the courtroom, that Johnny Depp, I mean, she's right there, he's right here, the jury's right next to him over here, and, he's obviously not looking at her. What's the final takeaway after all this testimony about Johnny Depp not looking her in the eye?
Again, so up until that very moment of the redirect, when this, because he's guilty came out, the first answer was powerful for me. But on the redirect, I think you rehabilitated it a little. However, I think overall, I think the imagery of Johnny Depp not looking up and not looking up at her gives some validity to the fact that he may feel some remorse or some, I don't want to use the term guilt, but he may feel some responsibility or just some sort of responsibility of everything that's taken place here. That's what I would take from it if I was sitting in that box. However, all that being said, I think overall Johnny Depp wins no matter what happens here. I think he's winning the court of public opinion, and I think if there's going to be a rehabilitation to his career, it's coming. I just think that as a matter of course, he's going to come back.
Michael Sterling, I don't know if you ever took any drama classes like I did in college. I got straight A's, by the way, straight A's, right? But actors, actors like me and Johnny Depp, we make choices, right? We have to make choices. And in this trial, he's made the choice to have the head down, either drawing or taking notes or doodling throughout the testimony of Amber Heard. What do you think about that choice?
Vinnie, we actually talked about this and noticed this a couple of weeks ago right? We talked about the fact that Amber Heard, when he was testifying, was almost staring him down. And one of the things we pontificated about was the fact that it may appear that Amber Heard was the more powerful person in the relationship based on that body language, based on the way she was just staring him down while he was testifying. Whereas Johnny seemed more reserved in terms of how he interacted with her, almost illustrating the fact that she was the powerful one in the relationship, even against this great and talented and well-known, renowned actor. And so I was expecting to hear a different answer, and it almost might have been better if they never even got into this and let the jury make their own decision, both by the cross-examiner and by the and by Amber Heard's lawyer. But once it was brought out, obviously it became something, and so it almost looks. This might be one where if I was the cross-examiner, I would have pulled back because it easily could look staged, right? Because, you didn't just notice that he wasn't looking at her. You told him not to look at her. You all plotted this out. That might be something that a juror thinks. And I would have just let the juror, I would have let it play the way it played. It's like, when I put my, client in a nice suit and tell him to cut his hair and shave his face, and I'm not going to talk about why he did it or the way he looked on the night up. I'm just going to present him the way he is in court. It almost might have been better if they didn't even talk about what had happened in the courtroom and you just got straight to the facts of the cross-examination.
Yeah, interesting choice, right? Now, Amber Heard cross-examined today about her prior relationship, her ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. I've heard it described both ways. There was an incident at the airport, and here's how it all came out in front of the jury.
You committed domestic violence against Miss Van Reed during your relationship, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You assaulted her at a Seattle airport in 2009, didn't you?
No, I did not.
And people saw that.
That's not true.
And it was covered in the press. Isn't that true?
It was planted in the press by Johnny's team 2 days after I got the TRO. Not coincidentally.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1279?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay, Rick, what are your thoughts here? Now, there was an incident, it did actually happen. It wasn't pursued, but there was an arrest because it was witnessed by some people. But what are your thoughts about the way this all plays out?
Again, this goes right back to preparation. As this is coming out, this happened. You can't say that it didn't happen. It did happen. And whether or not they planted it in the press for whatever reason during the course of these proceedings is irrelevant. What happened, happened. And for you to say that's not true and that didn't happen, those moves, that denial goes to credibility and it hurts. It's preparation.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a theme here that Amber Heard felt and made the accusation that she was being destroyed in the media by Johnny Depp's team, right? The PR team, they're powerful. And this was part of the abuse that she was taking, that once she came out as a victim, they just went into attack mode. And this was another one of their attacks, although it did actually happen. She was arrested.
She was arrested here in my neck of the woods in Seattle at SeaTac by the Port of Seattle police, and she was handcuffed in 2009. I didn't think she was going to come in. A door must have opened. It's very powerful. You can talk to any person on the street and say, did you know that Amber Heard was arrested before for assault? That's big evidence against her in terms of the claims here. And, I agree with Rick. She basically, trying to deny it is ridiculous. It's public record. I was surprised that it wasn't gotten into on cross because she was handcuffed. There were witnesses. This was her girlfriend and then I think her wife, who she cheated on with Johnny, I think the allegation. It just gets worse and worse, but she was arrested. It takes a lot to get arrested at SeaTac, or any airport, and to be put in handcuffs. So, powerful evidence. And I don't know about the PR team. You don't read about Amber Heard much presence in this case tried and the UK case tried. So, before that, Who was she before Johnny Depp? Who was she after these allegations that she's made? Totally different story.
Let's take a listen to now a part of cross-examination, and this goes directly to the op-ed. That is the focal point of this defamation suit. Let's listen.
Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. This is about Mr. Depp, isn't it?
No.
You wrote this in 2018, right?
Exactly.
And 2 years prior was 2016, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's correct.
So
it's not about
May of
Johnny. It's about what happened to me
Ms.
after.
Heard, my question was May of 2016 is 2 years prior to December of 2018, correct?
That's correct.
All right. May 2016 is when you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence, right?
I got my restraining order at that time.
And you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence.
Yes, that was attached to my restraining order, so yes.
All right, Michael Sterling, is this a winning argument by Amber Heard and her team that, you know, this op-ed was not about Johnny Depp, that it was about her circumstances after becoming a public figure representing domestic violence?
Yeah, it's not a winning argument. It's not. I mean, that basic defamation law doesn't require you to name the individual, say their name. It just requires there to be sufficient evidence that makes the individual identifiable. And that's what the lawyer is getting at here, right? You did this in 2018. You said 2 years ago, you put a time frame on it. At that time frame, approximately 2 years before, was when you first accused Johnny Depp of domestic violence. So you've made him easily identifiable. Divorce and marriage records are public record. TROs are public record. So anyone could have easily identified Johnny Depp as the person you were accusing of abuse. And then you get to the next stage of it, which is it true? Did it hurt his reputation? But
let me ask you this, though, Michael, and I think this is a really subtle point, but I think the Amber Heard and her team are really going to make this argument because she's making the argument on the stand, is that she's not, in the op-ed, she's not talking about being a victim of domestic violence. She's talking about being a public figure representing domestic violence and what you have to deal with when you are that public figure representing domestic violence, not what you have to deal with when you are the victim of domestic violence.
I mean, I think I understand them slicing those, like parsing, you know, slicing those, that needle, threading that needle, Vinny. But I still don't think it's going to be sufficient to get past the identification, because all you have to do is make them easily identifiable. So even if she says, I came out as a public figure of domestic violence and faced the wrath, you're still accusing Johnny Depp of domestic violence. And I don't think you get past that, because that's really the question here. Were you accusing him of domestic violence when he, in fact, was not a domestic abuser?
Gotcha. All right. When we come back, folks, we're going to take you on the docket. Big case taking place down in South Georgia, a town called Ocilla. We've got the latest on the
SmileDirectClub.com.
And you arranged to have drugs at your wedding, correct?
Like I said, we had mushrooms for my bridal party beforehand.
So you planned to have drugs at your wedding to someone you characterize as a drug addict?
To be fair, we were going to have separate parties, as I mentioned. So a bridal party before this, the schedule ended up changing quite a bit. And this is a draft, clearly, that was sent before there were a lot of changes made. The bridal party
So your original idea, Ms. Hurd, your original idea was to have a rehearsal dinner with your husband, the drug addict, the monster, and then do drugs with your girlfriends on the island after your rehearsal dinner?
I realize that's what the email suggests, but that wasn't a plan.
No, it's not what it suggests, Ms. Hurd. It's what you said in that email.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that the schedule ended up changing. We ended up doing the little,
So your original idea was to do drugs. Yeah, your original idea was to do drugs on an island after your rehearsal dinner to the drug-fueled monster that you were about to marry, right?
As the email suggests, there was going to be weed on the island.
I don't know. My wedding, we had a balloon drop. We weren't ordering. Anyway, interesting testimony coming from Amber Heard. All that relative to whether or not she was helping Johnny with his sobriety or if she was continuing to do drugs around and with Johnny Depp while he had these issues. And a big part of the cross-examination. We're going to get back to more of that case in just a second. I want to say about another big case that we were tracking here at Court TV. It involves Tara Grinstead, a beauty queen and teacher who disappeared in 2005 out of a little town in South Georgia called Ocilla. She's never been found, but one of her former students is now being tried for her murder. His name is Ryan Duke, and Joy Lim Nakrin has the latest from that trial.
Big developments today in the trial of a man accused of murdering a teacher and former beauty queen. Today in court, Ryan Duke testified he did not kill Tara Grinstead. Duke is accused of killing the high school history teacher at his school. She went missing in Ocilla, Georgia in 2005. And more than a decade later, Ryan was charged with her murder. It came after Bo Dukes, his high school friend, was convicted of concealing Tara's death. And that is what ultimately led investigators to Ryan. Well, today, Ryan claimed Bo is the one who actually killed Tara and used him to dispose of her body.
Mr. Duke, did you murder Tara Grinstead?
I did not.
Did you break into her home on October 22nd or 23rd, 2005?
No, sir, I did not.
Have you ever been inside her home at any point in your life?
No, sir, I hadn't.
Did you ever have a sexual relationship with Miss Grinstead?
I did not.
Did you ever strike Miss Grinstead?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever choke Miss Grinstead?
No, sir, I've never choked anyone.
Ryan Duke went on to testify that he saw Tara's body in a pecan orchard where Bo Dukes had taken him and confessed to the crime. He claims Bo then coerced him to help move Tara's body and dispose of it. Also in court today, he tried to explain away his 2017 alleged confession, which prosecutors had played in court. A confession he now says was false and induced by drugs. If convicted, Duke faces life in prison. Vinnie, back to you.
All right, folks, take a look. This trial is underway. As Joy told us, Court TV will show you this trial once a verdict has been reached in the trial we're covering now, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. So after Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, you'll see Georgia versus Ryan Duke. All right, when we come back, time to hear from you, our 13th juror, James Franco. His name and testimony about him has been sprinkled throughout this entire trial. He was on the witness list, not expected to testify. But I asked you, what impact do you think he had on this relationship, and what questions do you think he should answer on the witness stand? Your verdict next.
And what, if any, discussions or arguments did you have with Mr. Depp relating to James Franco in that time frame of May 2014?
It's a nightmare. I wanted to do this independent film. I liked the story. I liked the character.
Tell the jury what Mr. Depp said.
He was mad at me for taking the job with James Franco. He hated James Franco, and was already accusing me of kind of secretly having a thing with him in my past since we had done Pineapple Express together.
But you changed the locks to the penthouses on May 22nd, 2016.
I attempted to.
That's why you felt comfortable having James Franco over the evening of May 22nd, 2016, Ms. Heard?
I do not know when James came over.
Okay, let's remind you. That's you and Mr. Franco on May 22nd, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And you're taking him up to the penthouses, aren't you?
That's where I lived, yes.
And it's past 11 p.m. at night, isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure of the time. It looked like that.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town the week of May 21, 2016, didn't you?
I don't know what I knew of his schedule at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town on May 27th when you went to get the domestic violence restraining order, isn't that right?
I don't know if I knew that at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was heading out on a European tour that week, isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure what I understood of his schedule at that time.
You knew he wouldn't be back for weeks, right?
No, that's incorrect.
James Franco is in the middle of this whole case. I mean, he's everywhere. And you heard it from Amber Heard herself. She said, Johnny hates James Franco. He said he suspected they were doing something together. She's taking a lot of parts with James Franco, and you see what happened in the elevator. It's like the day after this big fight, changing the locks, and James Franco's in the elevator going up to the penthouse. So I asked you on Facebook about James Franco and what he should talk about or what you would want to hear from him on a witness stand if he would testify. And we begin with Blanca, who says, what were your intentions, Mr. Franco, when you went to Amber Heard's apartment that evening? Did you observe any injuries or any disarray upon your arrival? And Bremner, I don't think he's going to testify. I think that's happening at this moment. He's not coming in. But if he did, it would be another big moment with another big star. But I'm not sure who he helps more in all of this, right? Johnny Depp is jealous, but there seems to be something going on here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's jealous, but right to be jealous, it sounds like. And didn't Amber Heard testify that when they're in the elevator, the trees on her face or tried to touch her face? I thought, that's fascinating. I mean, that he would lean in and do that. And then I'd like to hear from him on that issue alone. Was that what was happening in the elevator when she kind of leaned into you after the locks were changed and, her husband's out of town? Or were you just saying, oh, those are some injuries I see right there. Maybe we should take a picture of them. And I'm just kind of going to, lean on your shoulder. Which was it?
He clearly could testify about injuries, whether or not he saw any or not. Lori, tonight, unless he actually witnessed the abuse, he should say nothing. Michael Sterling, would you like to hear from James Franco?
I'd love to hear from James Franco. Nothing would make me happier as a commentator on Court TV, Vinny, than to hear from James Franco. But I doubt we will hear from him. They don't look like they're going to discuss a movie role at 11:30 at night with her hair that way, no shoes on, by the way, and a robe on over her. Almost look like she has pajamas on or something. It doesn't look like, and that body language of her backing all the way into him in the elevator, slowly backing up to is almost intimate, right? I mean, if I saw this video of my wife and some actor, man, I might need to call Rick to defend me.
Yeah. Caitlin tonight. She was definitely using James as her crutch because she knew it would ruffle Johnny's feathers. I'd absolutely want to know what she told James about her relationship with Johnny and if any of it fits with the testimony she has given already. Rick King, what do you think this group of 5 young men who are in this jury in their 20s are going to think about James Franco going up the elevator?
They're going to watch the video and they're going to think exactly what the rest of America's thinking when they watch that video. That don't look right. And something's going on. And again, everything just goes against her credibility. It's just one thing after another, and everything that comes out, and her responses to it are just terrible. And I think that's the thing and again, Michael Sterling, gotta give it up, it's the preparation. There's just no preparation. It appears that there was no preparation for the things that they knew were coming. Like, you're gonna get surprised from time to time. But those things that you know were coming, like you have to have known that was going to happen, and you needed a better answer than, I don't remember, it was the 22nd, or that it just doesn't play right.
My question for James Franco: what's in that backpack? You're like wearing a backpack.
You don't want to know what's in the backpack.
What's in there, James? All right, great job tonight. Michael Sterling, Ann Bremner, Rick King, I'm glad you were here tonight. It was a big, big day in the courtroom, and I'm glad we had your perspective on all of it. We'll see you again really, really soon. Folks, our coverage continues of this trial. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, Ted Rowland's got to wake up early, right? I'm going to call him up, make sure he's sleeping right now. Anyway, before we go, folks, we need your help. We've got a missing child. Phoenix Kinney, just 13 years old, from Cincinnati, Ohio, missing since April 24th of this year. If you see Phoenix, call 911 or 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the local police. The phone number is on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night, and as always, don't forget to hug the kids.
That night in Australia, after you cut off his finger with a bottle, you weren't scared of him at all, were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course it's scary.
Is your testimony misheard that you were wearing makeup for this photo shoot?
That is correct. It's a photo shoot.
Didn't you just enhance the saturation for one of these photos to make your face look more red?
No, that's incorrect.
You called him a sellout, right, Ms. Heard?
I called him a lot of ugly things.
And a joke.
I called him a lot of ugly things.
You called him a joke on that recording.